Anyway, so let's continue, guys, with tip number 3. This is the third principle, and this is one of my favorites. You must know what additional resources to incorporate in your classes. Additional resources. What additional resources are we talking about? Well, this is part 1. Mr. Lopez will talk about part 2. Yes? Number 1, we mentioned this before when we were talking about lesson planning. Stories. Stories. Do you think people like stories?
Yes.
Why do you think people like stories?
Most of the time, children see cartoon.
What?
Some of the students all the time see the cartoon.
Cartoons.
That is the reason why they like the stories.
Like I said before, guys, I think I like reading about history. I like the Roman history. I like reading about philosophers, things like that. If you go back to and read those stories about history, you will see that people like to listen to other people. And some people like to share their stories, their wisdom with others. This is the reason why philosophers were very important back in the Roman Empire, right? So people like stories. And like I said before, people like gossips. Who doesn't like gossips, right? This is the reason why Magali TV's program is very famous and popular all over Peru. I don't watch that program, but most people watch it, right? So, stories. Please, could you read this, Leandro?
Way to teach why or pictures, drawings, or deductions. You can do this over a number of times.
Correct. Now, in order to teach your students stories, you need to read about stories. You cannot teach your students stories if you don't read stories, right? And the same thing with music. If you want to teach them a song, you need to know the song by heart, by memory. You cannot improvise on the spot. That's impossible. And you need to forget about the classical, typical stories like the Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, things like that. You need to bring new stories, right? New stories all the time. For example, here, these are some of the stories that I use with my son, with our son, right? This is The Bug's Life. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, you haven't seen the movie, you see? You should see the movie. If you are teaching children, if you want to teach teenagers, you need to watch the movie. And you cannot tell me, Lucio, I don't like animated movies. This is part of your job. It's part of your job because when you teach English, you are teaching the culture. And the culture comes with the stories, the music, and everything. So from now on, if you're thinking about working for a school, an institution, and teaching children, and even adults like stories like this, you need to start watching and reading these stories. We have another story. This is a very common. Don't tell me you haven't read this. The Wizard of Oz. Have you seen this story? Okay, thank goodness. Good. Sorry, guys, but yes. Yeah. Good question. These books, as you can see, they're the Penguins edition, and these are kind of expensive. This is the thing with books, you see. They are not very accessible, economically speaking. Like, just to have an idea, I got these books in SBS bookstore, Miraflores, the one on Angamos Avenue. Okay? Let me write the name. What is the marker? SBS. Right? SBS bookstore. I should get paid for this, but no, okay. SBS bookstore on Angamos Avenue. Now, each of these books, each one cost me around 30 to 45 soles approximately. 30 to 45 soles just A couple of pages. Yes, this is true. Now, in some cases, you can find offers. Like, but you need to be there, like visiting the place very often. And yes, and I got some of these offers for around 10 soles, but less than 10 or 15 soles, no. It's no way. But it's kind of expensive. Yes. Okay, anyway, so stories. Okay? You need to read, share stories. And here you have some tips on how to do it. Because it's easy for me to tell you, yes, share stories, but how can you apply this? You need to know the how to, right? So please, Nicole, could you read the information?
There are some tips on how to do this. Young children do not need complicated stories. On the contrary, the simpler the better. Tell part of the story with drawings. Then stop and repeat. Help them say the new words. Give the children's attention by illustrating as you go along, so they are eager to see what is coming next. Be sure to put in some known vocabulary too. Give them confidence. The add on the next part. Your children will not.
No, it's okay.
Get involved in the story. They will forget that they are using English and fun.
Correct. Number one, young children and also teenagers do not need complicated stories. The stories must be short and easy to get. Short and easy to get. You're not going to share crime and punishment. Too complex for a kid, a 5-year-old. That could be, yeah, that could be for an adult, maybe, crime and punishment, right? It must be simple, concise, direct. You have to make it easy for the people, your students, to get. Okay? Number two, you need to tell part of the story with drawings. Yes? So, some editorials, when you get the books, they give you the posters, right? And you can stick the posters on the board first, and you tell them, hey guys, do you like stories? Yes, we love stories. Look at that picture. What's the story about? Oh, yes, it's the Wizard of Oz. Oh, great. Have you seen the movie? Have you read the books? Both. Okay, and then you start eliciting ideas. You see? If the school doesn't provide you with the materials, which can happen, you need to create your own material. So you can print picture or poster, or simply you can draw a picture. Right? You can just draw a picture. And when you draw a picture, you don't have to be Picasso or Da Vinci to draw a picture. You can make it easy. Like, for example, I don't know. If I draw this, right? Let's imagine I draw this. Okay, that's it. So, correct. What story is this? The Three Little Pigs. So I don't have to be so, specific with all the details to elicit the ideas. No. And I tell you this because when I started teaching, I was very perfectionist. Like, I wanted my drawings to be perfect, right? But if you want your drawings to be perfect, you will spend a lot of time drawing the picture than teaching. So you need to teach. You're not an art teacher. You're an English teacher. Correct. That could be kind of expensive because you need a poster, and usually a poster this size, can cost you 5 soles maybe. But if you have the money, perfect. If you don't have, or if you don't have time, you can just simply draw a picture, right? Great. The next one, keep the children's attention by illustrating as you go along, so they are eager to see what is coming next. Yeah, this is so true. Yes? And like I said before, the editorials, I remember when I taught at school a long time ago, It was perfect. I don't remember the name of the book, guys, but it was more than 10 years ago. But the tutorial gave me the stories in different posters. And there was a sequence. There was a sequence. So I showed them first the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and then stick the end of the story. It was so perfect because when you have this, you can elicit ideas. You can ask them, okay, what do you think is going to happen next? Do you think the main character will achieve his goal? And then you raise the students' interest. Yes? The next one, be sure to put in some known vocabulary too. Oh, yes. Before you teach the story, you need to teach them some vocabulary first. Before. For example, if you're teaching the Three Little Pigs, okay, you need to make sure that your class knows what is a pig. If they don't know what a pig is, then what are you talking about, right? House, the materials, the path, right? Things like that. So you need to teach them the vocabulary first before you start with the story.
So you have to relate your students or so how can we do
By asking them questions. Asking them questions. It doesn't have to be a formal evaluation like okay, this is an exam before I share my story. No, like just a couple of questions. For example, have you read this story? Have you seen the movie? That's it. Mm-hmm.
So when you say you have to teach French the vocabulary, when they write on their copybooks, write the name of the story, then vocabulary, and then reading, or first what you said, and then the writing on the copy.
Can you repeat the question, please? I got lost.
I mean, because we are talking about the story. Right?
Okay.
How can I present in the copybook? Because
in the copybook, what is a copybook?
For writing.
Okay.
For example, I teach the reading first, as you know. Then in the copybooks, I write the title of the story, then the vocabulary, and some questions for the reading. Do you think it is advisable?
If it is advisable to ask them questions about the story?
For writing, because I have to present all the time in the copybooks, not according to check.
What is a copybook? Sorry. A notebook? Oh, okay, because I got confused with the term. Okay. Yeah.
So, what is more advanced? What do you think is easier to present our coordinators when she wants to check your work in the notebook, the story? So first, I have to present the story as well as vocabulary, then the reading.
Yes.
Yeah. As a production, as a run-up in their notebooks. Title of the story, new vocabulary, and then how can I say the last part? Just drawing a part of the story that they like most.
Oh, you mean the production stage?
Yes.
Okay. So typically a good way to introduce stories is first the poster. You show them the poster,
Yes.
and you elicit ideas. Okay, have you seen this movie? Have you read this story before? Okay, perfect. You elicit a lot of ideas. Then you teach them some vocabulary, right? So just to make sure that they will get the story 100%. After that, you share the story with your posters, right? After that comes the production stage. You can ask them reading comprehension questions. You can ask them to write a continuation of the story. You can ask them to role play the story. So there are different ways in the production stage.
The notebooks that are actually topic, story, vocabulary, and then maybe drawing on some questions.
Correct. It can be, the thing is that activities need to be different. right? If you're going to use a story, you cannot use the same steps all the time, because the students will say, oh, my teacher will share another boring story today. I know what's going to happen next. Oh, he's going to teach me a poster. Oh, he's going to do me this. No. So the thing is, you need to be different, right? So if you show them a poster first, okay, maybe the next time you can bring some puppets, right? Or if you're teaching adults, you can just play the audio version of the story. They listen to the first part of the story, and then you ask them, what's the story about? Can you recognize the story? Yes? Mm-hmm. Okay. And we continue talking about stories. Please, Sadi.
Continue with the story over a number of lessons, starting each time from the beginning.
Yes, please.
If you have drawn pictures on the board, point to them and get the class to tell you a story. Ask a child to draw the story as you or another child tell it.
Mm-hmm.
When the children know the story, get them to draw it in their notebooks.
Mm-hmm.
While they are drawing, go around the class and get individual couples to tell you the story.
Yes.
Draw parts of the story in a different order and get the children to say their corresponding sentences or express their ideas. Do not worry about your artistic abilities. Children think anything a teacher draws is great.
Yes.
And afterwards, they will have a good laugh, and so should what you have drawn with what it is supposed to be.
This is exactly what I told you before. You don't have to be Picasso, Da Vinci to use your drawings in your classes. Sometimes it's funny, and students will laugh. Hey, teacher, you don't know how to draw.
Yeah, they laugh.
And then it's funny.
Teacher, I want to draw the best picture you ever seen. Okay, go ahead. So you are you are Picasso right now. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, that's true. Okay, now continue with the story over a number of lessons, starting each time from the beginning. Yes, of course, you need to start from the beginning. Yes. Now you can always do the opposite. Like you can start with the ending sometimes and finish with the start. Like you show them the ending, the poster, right? And you tell them, okay, how do you think the story started? You see? So children, students, adults, they like that. So you have to be creative. You have to make it different. Yes? If you have drawn pictures on the board, point to them and get the class to tell your story. This is exactly what I told you before. Elicit ideas from the pictures. Ask a child to draw the story as you or another child tells it. Children, teenagers like to draw. They like to show their artistic talent. So you can give them some papers and tell them, now draw the story. And they will start drawing the story. They like it. They like you to use colors, markers, anything. When the children know the story, get them to draw it in their notebooks. And while they're drawing, go around the class and get individual pulpits to tell you the story. Yes. Most of the time, children, if you ask a child, have you seen Bugs Life? 90% of the class will tell you yes. They are children. This is their life. Okay? Yes, it's not your life, but it's their life. So they know that. They have read the story, so you have to simply ask them the right questions. And that's it. And, well, the last one, do not worry about your artistic talents. The next one, games. Let's talk about games. Do you like games?
Yes, I love.
People like games all the time. That's the reason why video games are very popular. Yes? So, please, Pilar, could you read the information?
Games. Playing is a child's natural way. Games help children to acquire language in a natural way that makes difference. language is used as a means to an end rather than in itself. And the children are motivated to learn because they are enjoying themselves. Through game, children learn social skills such as cooperating and engaging rules, only enjoyable atmosphere. They also develop the chance of the use of a foreign language, coordination, cognitive thought.
Yeah, now this is the thing. You have to be careful with games. Games can be powerful, but as every power, there is a consequence if you don't know how to use them. You don't want your students to go back home and tell their parents, Mom, Dad, I just play in English. In English, I only play games. I don't learn anything. So you don't want that to happen. You want to use games as a way to consolidate your lessons, as a way to catch the students' attention. That's the reason why you want to use games in class. Now, you have to be very careful with games too. Some children are very competitive, students too, adults. And if they lose a game, they will cry. And believe me, when they start crying, some of them are drama queens. They will make scandals. All the school will know that one child is crying. You don't want that to happen. So you need to give them rules. Like, for example, okay, guys, now we have a game today. But remember, there are no losers. It's just a game. We're going to have fun. If you lose, it's okay. You can try again. Got it? And then the children says, yes, no problem. Perfect. And if a child starts crying, you remember the rule. You make them remember the rule. Do you remember the rule we agreed on before the game? Oh, yes, teacher, yes. I'm not going to cry, I promise you. And then they don't cry anymore. So you need to, in one way or another, manipulate your students, but for the good. Yes, for the good. Yes.
There are some things I can technological things now. Some apps, Kahoot, and the other name I don't remember, but I say, because they compare, no?
Yeah.
That teacher plays Kahoot, and you don't know play Kahoot. Or in a word wall.
Yeah, word wall.
I use one of the teachers.
Yes.
We are individual.
Yes, we have another we have another workshop where we can share the technological tools, because there is a lot of information. So we're going to organize another workshop only for technological tools. But when I say games, you know what? I know, I understand technology, artificial intelligence now, everybody's talking about that. But nothing beats a good game. A game where children or students move. Because when you move, you feel alive, right? Your blood is rushing through your veins and you wake up. But if you're sitting down playing the game, you don't move. And if you don't move, you feel asleep, you feel bored, and no one gets benefit. Yes? So, and when I say games, you need to make it simple. You don't want to create a too complicated game, right? Like, for example, one of my favorite games and simple games that I use in my classes was this. What's this? It's the buzzer, right? It's a buzzer. So simple, easy to get, right? So, and you can do wonders with this. You can tell them, like, again, very similar to the previous activity of countries and nationalities. You create two rows, right, of people, and you tell them, okay, let's imagine you're teaching vocabulary. Yes? And you show them a picture. Okay, what's this? And then the first person to come here and use the buzzer gets a point if their answer is correct. You see? So you can do many things. There are many variations to this, but believe me, you don't want to make it complicated. You don't want a teacher to bring a full bag. Excuse me, Leonard, I want to use your bag. You don't want a teacher who can bring a full bag. Oh, teacher, what are you bringing to the school? I'm bringing my games for my kids. Like, believe me, I see these people. I saw these people in all the places that I work for, and it's good. You can do that maybe once a month, twice a month, but every day carrying their backpacks. Oh, my games, I love it. Well, you did that. You see, so you want to make it easy, simple. A buzzer could help you, but of course you need to use variety, right? Yes. Okay, we continue talking about games, please.
It is important to remember, first of all, it's not sometimes graceful.
Yes.
Or even all children of this age are
This is the reason why you need to be careful when you play games, especially with children. The games must be well designed. Yes. There could be an accident, and I had many when I started teaching. Yes. So you cannot do that. You need to avoid that. Yes. And when you are teaching teenagers are very embarrassed to make mistakes. They are embarrassed. They say things like, "No, teacher, I prefer to stay here. I don't want to participate in this game." Well, you need to convince them, persuade them that it's important. Find a way, a cool way to make them participate. Yes? Extra points. It's a typical way to do it. Yes? You can bring anything. Yes? Okay, this is an example, typical game when you teach children. Simon says, quiet, and everybody's quiet. Simon says, stand up, and everybody stands up. Simon says, turn around, and everybody turns around. You see? So, yeah, this is good. It works wonders. If there is a lot of noise, you can ask them, Simon says, be silent, and everybody's in silence. Puppets. All right. Who uses puppets in their classes? Yes, said it. This is powerful. Like I said before, I shared with you my story in the first workshop. Children pay more attention to the puppets than the teacher themselves. And believe me, you don't need to change your voice. You can just use your same voice as long as the puppets move, right? But now if you change your voice, the tone of your voice, like, hello, now it's time to start with the class, things like that. So it's more interesting, right? It's more interesting. Yes. Okay, let's read information. Who is the next, please?
Puppets. There are many different ways puppets can be used. Knowledge. For example, the students can use
Puppetry.
read and write stories, follow instructions, answer questions, or conduct activities to improve communication. Move their arms, hands, and fingers to make the puppet move,
Yes.
thereby improving fine motor skills. Create a visual aid to understand songs and stories, thereby using and demonstrate different situations of the which helps to develop knowledge and understanding. Draw faces, for example, or wooden spoon puppets, size and motion, thereby improving their understanding of
Right. So conclusion, like I said before, guys, puppets are very powerful. It's cheap to get, right? It's not that expensive. But you need to become a child again, right? That is the thing. Because if you are too, I mean, you can see me right now serious, but when I'm dealing with children, I become a child again. And my wife can tell you that. Like, my wife can tell you that I behave like a child at home with my son. And she can agree with that with me. She's busy right now with her cell phone, but believe me, when I'm playing with my son, I become a child again. I behave like a child. And you need to behave like a child if you're teaching children too. Yes. I saw teachers who they use puppets even to teach adults. So yeah. Correct. So it's
Unpredictable.
It's unpredictable. Yes, it's unpredictable. Well, we continue talking about puppets. Let's talk about something different. Realia. Please. Leandro.
The word realia means the real item found in the world around us to help teach us. This realia helps to make English lesson memorable, creating a link between the word or phrase they show. So how should teachers use realia in the classroom?
Realia, right? Realia, very powerful. Let's imagine, for example, you are teaching kids and one of the units, it's insects. Children love talking about insects, right? Ants, cockroaches, worms, caterpillars, they like that. Children like insects, right? Who doesn't like insects if you're a child? Now, of course. So if you bring things like these in the class, you just show them this, like the children will see you, okay? The students will see you and they will say, immediately will pay attention to you. They stop doing what they're doing and they say, teacher, what's that? Yeah. And everybody is looking now at you. Yeah. And you just got their attention. Yeah. You didn't do a thing. You just brought the right thing, the right stuff, and they start paying attention to you. Right? And then you start, all right, guys, do you like insects? Yes, we love insects. Okay, what's this? Oh, it's an ant. Oh, great. Have you caught an ant? Yes, many times. I have many ants in my house. And you continue, right? So, yeah, I think it's a V. It's a V, yes. Or if you're teaching food, it's my kids' toys. Now, this is the advantage when you are a father or a mother, right? You only use your children's toys. Now, if you're not a mom or a dad, well, I mean, you need to buy them. You need to buy. Yeah, that's true. So if you're teaching, or yes, if you have a niece or a nephew, right? That's true. So if you're teaching food, well, just bring the food, bring the realia. Now, some teachers are very extreme. They do bring the real food. So you can bring a real onion, no problem. You can bring a real cupcake. You can bring a real strawberry, no problem. Now, but this is kind of heavy too if you bring real objects, right? Unless you have your own car where you can put all your stuff. I remember one of my colleagues, she had her car and she used her back of the trunk. There was a big box like this size, literally this size. It was a big box. And when she opened her box, she had everything. All the kinds of reality that you can imagine. Absolutely everything. From clothes to toys, food. She was sick. And I think she didn't have a life, but she was a good teacher. She is one of my best friends. Yeah, nah, just kidding. Just kidding, just kidding. Okay, why use realia? Oh, we haven't, yeah, let's read this. Please, could you read, Sadit?
Why use realia? The use of realia is only limited by your imagination and possible practically too. Using realia stimulates the mind and makes the vocabulary more memorable than a picture would.
Yes.
Students can touch, smell, and with a food item, taste it. Realia saves time as a recognition of an object is often immediate. Elicitation, I'm not sure.
Which one?
Elicitation.
Elicitation.
Our vocabulary becomes much easier. Simple holding up the object with a raised eyebrow. While will usually result in the desired word being spoken. Realia breathes life into new vocabulary and the chance of your students remembering the new words you have taught them includes.
Yes. So, like I said before, guys, this is one of the best tools to bring enthusiasm to your classes. And the main reason why you would use realia is to teach new vocabulary, right? Vocabulary in your classes. Good. I was going to say something else. Yes. This is the thing. The more senses you activate in your students, the more memorable the learning. Let me repeat this again. The more senses, senses, hearing, smell, taste, touch, the more senses you activate in your students, the more memorable it is, the learning. What do I mean by this? If you bring a real cupcake, your students will touch it, will smell it, will taste it. And believe me, they will never forget about the word cupcake. Never, because you just help them activate at least 3 senses out of the 5. It's very memorable, powerful. Yes. So this is the reason why the realia, it's important. Yes. And you as teachers need to start creating your box of tools, your toolbox, if you will, from now on. Yes. Okay. And now, yes. Well, we have one more thing. Let's go with, it was Leandro the last one, I think. Nicole.
Take a word, for instance. The probability of remembering the word becomes much higher after experiencing taste,
Yes.
touch, and smell of the object.
Yes.
Okay. Realia does not have to be limited to food or drink.
Correct.
Timetables, tickets, newspapers, and clothes might all be used to help break life into lessons and help provide interest.
Yes. The first one, you have to be careful with the first one too. So if you want to bring a real cupcake, for example, to the class, you need to be careful who you are sharing the cupcake with. Some students cannot eat cupcakes or sweets. Then they get back home with a stomachache. The parents will call you, hey teacher, why do you give my son food? So, and then you will have a problem. So you have to be careful. Be careful with, if you're using food, just be careful that you're not sharing the food to the incorrect person. Yes. And yeah, it's not only food, guys, but also things like tickets. For example, I remember when I used to teach vocabulary about airport. Yes. I would bring my real passport and show them my passport. I would bring a ticket, an airplane ticket, a real airplane ticket, so that they can see, they can touch. So things like this. It's not only food and drinks, but it can be anything. Good. Now, before tip number 4, let's use the same photocopy. Do you remember this photocopy I gave you guys here? What realia can you use in this lesson?
Flags.
When you say flags, what do you mean? Real flags.
Real flags.
Uh-huh, that's perfect. The word map. Okay, the word map. Perfect, perfect, excellent. So you can bring a word map, right? And you can show them. You can bring flags. What else can you bring? You can bring your t-shirt.
T-shirt.
Right? Like, remember I told you, you can bring your t-shirt, your clothes. You can bring, I don't know, your Argentinian t-shirt, your Peruvian t-shirt. Perfect, that's realia. What else can you bring?
Souvenirs from different countries.
Excuse me?
Special souvenirs for different.
Excellent. I like that. So, for example, you can bring, I don't know, the Statue of Liberty, a souvenir, and you show them, hey, look at this. What's this? Oh, it's the Statue of Liberty. Okay, and where can I find the Statue of Liberty? Oh, in America, in the US. Oh, perfect, the US. Now, look at this. What's this? Oh, it's Machu Picchu. Oh, great. Where can I find Machu Picchu? In Peru. Oh, perfect. And then you start. USA, Peru, Argentina, etc., etc., etc.
Also the currency papers.
Yes, you can show them. This is a peso. This is a sol. This is a dollar. This is a euro, right? Where can I find these coins, this currency? Yes, there are many things that you can do, but if you ask me, guys, my only recommendation for you is be creative. You have to be creative. Now, my question is, how can you be creative? Very easy. The most powerful way to be creative is to observe other classes. You learn a lot from observing other people's classes. If you have a friend who is teaching English, just ask them, hey, excuse me, I know that you're teaching adults. Can I visit your class? Just want to learn some new tricks. Yes, sure, no problem. And you observe them, just 30, 20 minutes. And you can steal or learn one or two new skills that you didn't know, but now you can apply. Yes. Another way to be creative is by reading. You need to read a lot, right? Books like this. It's fear, you know, but you can read books, methodology books, where they show you a lot of tips, ideas to teach. And another one, watch movies too. Yes. Relax too. When you walk around the park, you can bring new ideas. Yes. Many things, guys, but you have to be creative. Yes. Great. Okay. And that was the third workshop. Now, Mr. Lopez will wrap up with the next one.